Hello, this is Rico Cavella, and this is your Fearless Aging podcast. And as always, my guests and I, in every episode, we're here to give you the very best proven tips and strategies that you can begin to implement immediately to help you live a healthier, more energetic, successful, fulfilling, long life, and to never be old. So we want to inspire you and empower you to become your best self so you can go out and make a bigger positive difference in the world. And I also want to remind you that my new online 90-day Ageless Living Lifestyle Coaching Program is now evergreen, so you can sign up at any time. And I offer a free coaching session to tell you all about it and also to help you get you started in the right direction. So you can actually just go to chatwithrico.com and book your free coaching call with me. So the title of this episode is The Sleep Advantage, which I think is such a great title, and it's something that's so important. It's all about how to optimize your night to win your day. I really like that. And we have a great expert with us today. His name is Devin Burke. He is an international and TEDx speaker, the best-selling author of The Sleep Advantage, the founder of Sleep Science Academy, and one of the top health and sleep coaches in the world. His books, keynotes, programs, and videos have inspired thousands of people to improve their sleep, energy, and their life. So Devin Burke, thank you so much for being here.
Rico, I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're here too, because I know this is such an important topic. And, I just recently saw a statistic that I think it was almost one in four people in America have some sort of sleep problem or not sleeping well. And that's critical for your health, just get really good sleep. So, but let's begin. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and tell me what you're most passionate about in your life right now.
Yeah, well, it's what I'm most passionate about is helping people sleep because it's so important. I mean, that's really the bulk of my energy and my time goes to either learning the latest statistics and strategies and tools and technology to help people sleep, or running my company, which helps people all across the United States sleep. So it's that's that we all things lead to sleep, and sleep leads to all things. So that's really what I'm most excited about. This year, we're rolling out a sleep certification for health and wellness coaches who want to become sleep coaches and learn our methodology of how we help people that have sleep issues learn to restore their natural sleep cycles and get the sleep they need so they can wake up and live life, because that's really why we sleep, from a 30,000 foot view. So.
Well, that's so good. Yeah, that's such a great thing to be passionate about, where you're really helping a lot of people. And I know it's so critically important to get really good sleep. So tell me a little bit about your journey and how you came to do what you do.
Yeah, in a nutshell, I thought sleep was a waste of time, like most people. I don't have a sleep issue. Actually, sleep is a superpower of mine, and I just didn't realize what a gift that was. I was actually going to become a doctor of physical therapy. Took a 2.5-month backpack trip through Europe. Came back, realized I feel like there's something more for me to give. And long story short, went through all these different trainings. I was working with high performing entrepreneurs, more of a life health coach. Someone had a sleep issue. I looked into what was available for this person, and I was shocked. I was shocked not only by what was not available, which was good solutions, but I was shocked at how important and powerful sleep was when I started to look at the science. So that really, that was more than, I guess that was coming about 6 years ago, where I really just got super dove deep into the science of sleep and the methodologies and techniques to help people sleep better. And so I was able to help that one person. I said, if I can help him, I can help thousands of people. I can help millions of people. And so that really was what led me to found Sleep Science Academy and really do the work that I'm so passionate about today.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for your work. Yeah, it's no question. Again, how important it is, and I recently read a study too that where they tested people. They give them cognitive tests on how many hours they slept, and for every hour under 7 hours of sleep, you perform less well for every hour. If you only got 6 hours, you didn't do as good as you did on 7, and 5 you didn't do as good in 4. So we know it's important for so many things, but really, a lot of people, it's like you said, a lot of people think, oh, I don't need to sleep that much. I can sleep 4 hours. I can get by. They're just kind of fooling themselves, right?
Yeah, funny, and I was at a party a couple weeks ago with a bunch of very successful entrepreneurs, and one particular entrepreneur. I was talking about sleep, of course. That's what I talk about at parties. And she was just telling me that she thinks it's a waste of time. She sleeps 4 or 5 hours a night. She works 100 hours a week on her company, a very successful company. And but I looked, we started talking to it. She was struggling. Her health was struggling. She was overweight. I could tell. You can look at somebody and see, hey, this person is, and that's so again, you can kind of get away with it when you're young, and when I say young, I mean like in your 20s and maybe early 30s. But then you need to prioritize sleep. I mean, even at those critical stages, it's so important. But especially as we go throughout life, we need to make sure that we are protecting it and we're prioritizing it, because it has such a bad stigma, unfortunately. It really does.
Yeah, no question. So even like you say, some younger people, they may be doing fairly good with not sleeping very much, but they're really prematurely aging themselves. That's why I'm all about longevity and aging. And if you don't get your sleep, you're definitely aging yourself. So I know you have a thing here called the ROI of sleep. So tell us a little bit about some of the really return on your investments for good sleep. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's important to people to understand that there is an ROI, because that motivates them to actually prioritize it and protect it, so that you're not ignorant like I once was to how important it is. So really, I like to always start out, Rico, by saying sleep impacts every area of your life. There's not you name it, whether it's your cognitive performance, your sex life, your ability to emotionally regulate, your ability to learn, retain that information, your longevity, your telomeres shorten. If you're not, shorter you sleep, the shorter you live. There's hard science that shows that. Any aspect of your life, any important aspect of your life, your relationships, your health, your performance, mental and physical, all get greatly either enhanced or greatly, messed up if you're not sleeping. So, and if you're sleeping well, the return on your investment is all those areas. It's like it's the tide that rises all ships, so to speak. Matt Walker said that in his book, and I love that quote because it's true. So the ROI is literally every aspect of your life. You name an aspect of your life that you want to improve, and if you improve your sleep, that's going to improve whatever is important to you at the moment, whether it's your relationship, whether it's looking good, feeling good, performing good. So, I mean, we can go into depth on each of these things that I just mentioned, any area and how it's connected to sleep. But in a nutshell, that's the ROI. Life gets better when you invest in sleep. You make more money, you live longer, you have better sex, you feel better mentally, you make better decisions. If that's not enough, then, just turn this off. And I don't know.
Go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. Okay, before we go further too, I want to let our audience know that you have some really good resources and some quizzes and surveys. And I know you have a free ebook on your website too. So you got some really good information for people. So stay tuned at the end of our discussion here, which usually runs about 30 minutes. Then we'll let you know how you can get all this free resources from Devin. Okay, so I also want to say, well, no, let's just go on. So let's talk about why do so many people have issues with their sleep?
Rico, that's a big question. And what I've come to realize is it's stress, because sleep and stress are bidirectionally linked. So the more stress you experience, the less rest you experience. The less rest you experience, the more stress you experience. So, and stress comes in many forms. There's physical stress, there's mental, emotional stress, there's environmental stress, and that comes from like the EMFs, that comes from the pollution and then the food and the air. And, people are experiencing more stress than ever, which is why more people are experiencing less rest than ever. So you cannot separate stress and sleep because they're interconnected. Just like you can't separate your day from your night. That's really why people are having struggle sleeping is they're under chronic stress from some or all of the areas that I just mentioned.
Yeah, and we know, what manifests in your physical body initially it begins in your mental emotional state, and so
Yeah.
stress is a well known now totally precursor to most every illness that we're experiencing. So it's such an important thing to get a handle on your stress. So, I think a lot of it has to do with our technology as well. Even though our technology is great, just like now, here we are talking to each other, and doing this podcast. But people have gotten so into thinking that we have to, because we can accomplish more, that they have to accomplish more. I just heard a study now where they say that 9 to 5 is going by the wayside. Now people have to work 9 to 10, or they have to come back and spend another couple hours working at night. And to me, that's just ridiculous. Life's not about just working and how much you can accomplish. Life's about being healthy and enjoying your life. And so we've just got
issues, meaning like to the point where they're taking Ambien maybe more than they should, or something else, alcohol. It's people push too hard, like you said, push too hard, and the patterns are perfectionism. Number one, perfectionism, putting sleep on a pedestal, and it deserves to be there. So that one's a bit tricky, and then treating sleep like it's a problem. And usually people that have these sleep issues, at least the ones that we deal with at Sleep Science Academy, they are high performing individuals, like you said. They want to accomplish, they want to achieve. And sleep's the one thing that the harder you try, the worse you get at. Everything else in life, the harder you try it, usually, the better you get at. Not with sleep. So it gets a little bit tricky, but it's so true. People need to relax and get back into the parasympathetic nervous system. We're a sympathetic dominant society, and that's culture. It's like the dollar is everyone's trying to make money and hustle and grind, and it's exhausting, and they're missing out. They're missing out because you can do both. You can make abundance and success, and you can enjoy your life, like you said.
Yeah, you've probably heard this saying, that we have the saying in the holistic community, that so many people spend their health to create their wealth, and then they have to start spending their wealth to try and create their health back again. And that's not a good formula for success or for good health or longevity, either one of them, So this is such an important message we got to get out to people, that they just really have to get a handle on their health. We'll talk about some of I know that there's some things like sleep apnea and things like this that people have to deal with. So what do you recommend for people initially if they really having a serious problem? Do they need to get some medical attention, or what do you recommend?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different sleep disorders out there. Now, the most common ones are insomnia, which is trouble initiating sleep, which is what we call onset insomnia, or trouble staying asleep, which is what we call maintenance insomnia. And there's different classifications. It can be transient, which is a couple of days, acute, which is a couple of weeks, or chronic, which is more than 3 months and more than 3 times a week. So knowing, if a lot of people don't realize they have insomnia. And then there's the sleep apnea, which is a huge issue. And that's really mostly linked because of people that are overweight. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of studies that show you just lose the weight and all of a sudden the sleep apnea goes away. And sleep apnea is dangerous because it's, you have stop breathing events multiple times throughout the night. It stresses the heart, and you don't want to stress the heart because, that's kind of the muscle that needs to work to keep us alive. So, sleep apnea, if you snore, or if you're waking up and you're not refreshed and you don't have insomnia, that's definitely a sign you want to go get a sleep apnea test. Now, there's incredible technology out there that exists where you don't even have to go to sleep lab anymore. They'll send you a kit. You can be in your bed, and it'll measure stop breathing events. Now, even the devices like the Oura Ring and a bunch of other devices that are out there are getting to the point where they're actually able to almost accurately detect sleep apnea. So that's a huge issue. The solution is, unfortunately, there's CPAP for that, or you can do, depending on what type of apnea you have. Sometimes it is a different type of apnea where your tongue is too big for your mouth, and they can do some things there. So those are the two big ones: sleep apnea and insomnia. Now, insomnia is really the one that we're experts at. But a lot of people do have both, and one can lead to the other. And so it's important to, if you feel like you have an issue sleeping, either getting to sleep, staying asleep, or you're not waking up refreshed, which is usually a sign of sleep apnea or just not enough quality sleep, that's when you really want to, seek some support, and especially if it's affecting your life, because that's when, the people we see, Rico, it's affecting their marriages, it's affecting their businesses, it's affecting their ability to be parents. Sometimes they're not working because it's affecting them that much. But you don't want to wait until it gets to that point. You want to, nip it in the butt before it starts to really deteriorate your life.
Yeah. Most people that I know that tell me that they have, a little problem with sleep is it's not so much going to sleep, but mostly people that wake up and then they can't get back to sleep. So can you address that a little bit?
Absolutely. So that's called maintenance insomnia. And so waking up every 90 minutes, essentially we come out of a sleep cycle. Now, unfortunately, sometimes people become conscious, and then maybe they have to use the restroom, and then they're up. And then what happens is the mind starts going. You start thinking about all the things you got to do, you should have done. And next thing you know, you're tossing and turning, you're not able to get back to sleep. So what I could recommend, and one of the techniques we use at our academy, is what's called stimulus control. So if you wake up and you're in bed for longer than 20 minutes, you want to remove yourself from bed, because you're going to train your mind and body that bed equals waking up and staying up if you don't do that. So you remove yourself from the bed, and you do something relaxing that doesn't involve technology. So that could be reading a book, stretching, meditating. We teach a lot of breathwork techniques to help you get back into the parasympathetic. You could, if you have a racing mind, you can start to write down the things that are running through your mind, because your hand is a lot slower than your brain. So that can kind of start to calm that down. The big thing is, don't try to go back to sleep, because trying to go back to sleep is a subtle form of forcing or controlling, which creates hyperarousal, which then creates cortisol drip, adrenaline drip, which then is the reason why you're not able to get back to sleep. And it's a bit tricky because people don't really understand that one. But if you're listening to this, that's key. Don't try. And it's when if you feel like you're efforting or forcing or controlling, that is going to be a fast ticket to continuing to have that be a problem for you.
Yeah. What about reading? I mean, for me, well, I don't have that problem with waking up, but if I want to go to sleep, if you start to read a little bit, that always puts me to sleep right away. It seems like. Man,
especially if you're reading something that's, calming. So for me personally, I read a lot of spiritual books at night, because I don't read like technical books. Like, you don't want to read business books or even sometimes like fantasy books that kind of take you into this other world, and you're like, it's almost like you're watching a movie or something. Reading things that are calming. Actually, the book I'm reading right now, it's an interesting book. It's called Planet Walker. And it's about this guy who walked for 22 years of his life, and he was silent for 17 of those. Yeah, amazing book. Anyway, so read something, that's going to relax you, and for sure reading can help. Absolutely.
So what are a few other tips, for getting sleep and getting your circadian rhythms in a consistent flow,
Yeah, I mean, real simple stuff. It's, the two things that control sleep, Rika, I'm sure maybe your audience doesn't, it's light and temperature. So making the room cold, dark, quiet, that's key. Making sure that you're getting enough light. You got a nice tan. I know you live in San Diego. I live in South Florida. So we got a lot of sun where we live. So, but some people don't. So, in the winter, you can get there's different light technologies you can get to help, but getting sun first thing in the morning helps tremendously. Going to bed at the same time, waking up, especially waking up at the same time, helps reset that circadian clock. And also just getting out in nature, getting your feet on the beach, getting your feet in the sand. There's an electromagnetic frequency, the Schumann resonance, that we are disconnected from. And when you are able to, create resonance, magnetic frequency resonance with your body and the earth, and that sounds kind of hippie-ish, but it's not science. That helps.
Well,
It helps tremendously. Um, so yeah, those are some things. I mean, hot shower right before bed. Also, that's another technique I personally use. My routine, Rico, looks like I read, I make a cup of tea, and that tea is usually like some kind of like lavender or kava or something relaxing.
mm-hmm.
And then or usually before that, I take a hot shower. And the reason I do that is it drops the core body temperature, and you need the core body temperature to drop 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit to induce sleep. So another way to do that is you can wear wool socks, because that pull, you want it pulls heat to the extremities of your body, which drops the temperature, the core temperature of your body. So I could go on and on, but hopefully those are some for people listening here.
Yeah. On the thing, also you mentioned about the light. If people have when you first wake up, if you have a hard time waking up, what you really want to do is get some light. If you can't get outside, get into sunlight or some light, and that's a lot better than drinking a bunch of caffeine. Just go outside and breathe and get some light. That'll wake you up better than anything else.
Oh yeah. So as soon as you wake up, open all the shades. Open all the shades. Even better, go outside and get sun on your skin. Don't wear sunglasses in the morning. Get the sun, because we have these cells in our eyes called myopsin cells, and they're the receptors. They're like the lenses that trigger a lot of these hormone releases. And so, melatonin is the sleep hormone, and then we have cortisol highest in the morning, stress hormone, but we want it high in the morning because it gets you going. But you want that melatonin faucet to turn off. So when you get that light first thing in the morning, the melatonin faucet starts to turn off. And that sort of triggers the cascade of, hey, now it's time to wake up.
Yeah, you also mentioned what I like to do a lot. It's called earthing. Where you walk barefoot on the grass or on the earth or the beach or sand. It's so good for you. And you get those natural frequencies from Mother Earth.
Oh, it's so good. So I track my sleep. I've been tracking my sleep for about 5 years. And I'm blessed to live literally a block from the beach. So on the nights after a day of work, and I take a walk on the beach, my sleep scores always are better. And I use the Aura Ring to track. You can't. Well, here's another really important thing. You can't manage what you don't measure. So if you want to improve something, you have to measure it. So getting a device like an Aura Ring or a Fitbit or Apple Watch there's a lot of them out there. Just to get some baseline measurements as to what's going on with your sleep, and then doing some of the things that you and me are talking about here, you can start to see, wow, I did that. Okay, that works. Let me keep doing that. Let me keep going to the beach. Let me keep watching the sunset. Let me keep, not drinking alcohol close to bed or eating, 3 hours before bed. Let me keep, managing my stress, doing meditation practices or whatever it is that prayer. These things work.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, that's really some good information. Yeah, thank you. Well, one thing we didn't mention yet was to turn off your screens a couple hours before you go to bed.
That's a tough one for people.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's tough. I turn my phone off. So, but it took a long time for me to get to that place, and I'm not a big movie watcher or TV watcher. There's a time and a place. But if you're consistently on your devices in your bed, watching TV, on social media, or checking your email or whatever it is, that is the worst thing you possibly could do for your sleep, especially if you're watching the news.
Yeah, exactly right. I have a saying: if you live with the news, you live with the blues, man. It's going to mess you all up. It's not good at all. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So you got to, also, it's because of the blue light. The blue light it tends to disturb your. Well, you explain it better. I can't explain. Like I say,
the blue. I mean, so there's the blue light from our devices. Right. Essentially, what they do is our eyes, those myopsin cells, they don't know the difference between the blue light from the sun and the blue light from these devices. Okay. So it doesn't allow the optimal amount of melatonin to be released. Now, melatonin is a very important hormone because melatonin supports our mitochondria. And that's really, really important. You want to make sure that you have optimal amount of melatonin being released, because it's not only is going to make you sleepy and help you sleep, and it sets the timer, in the brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus is the master clock in the pineal gland here. It's really, really, really important that you are getting that melatonin production throughout the night, because it's going to help repair the mitochondria. I mean, that's the powerhouse of cells. So that's another reason why melatonin is so critical. And you want it, you want your body to make it. You don't want to have to, take it with supplements and things like that.
Yeah, it's just so good. Well, I hope that we've convinced people by now that how important their sleep is. So I would say to our audience, if you're having any problems, really, follow the advice that Devin has given you. When people can contact you on your website, I know you do some coaching on there as well, so they can get a hold of you and ask you some questions and learn more about what's going on with their particular challenge, right?
That's right. Yeah, sleepscienceacademy.com.
Okay. And that's where they can also pick up a copy of your ebook, and you have a sleep quiz on there. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's a great place for people to start. If you have any issues with your sleep, the sleep quiz is a great way to really diagnose, kind of not diagnose, but like begin to understand what's going on with your sleep, and then to get some support and direction on what to do based off of your results. So that's a great place for people to go and to start.
So that's sleepscienceacademy.com, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And I'll put that in the description of our podcast today. Well, anything else you think that's really important that we should let people know about?
I would say, the most important thing is just to make sure that you protect and prioritize it, and realize that sleep is not something that you can force or control. So, it is important. If you're not sleeping well, don't start worrying about it, because then you're really not going to sleep well.
Right.
But if you have a big issue, get support. Don't try to do it on your own. You don't have to. And there's a lot of other ways of naturally restoring your sleep cycles outside of medication. And that's usually what most people just are doing, which is really a Band-Aid. So.
Yeah. I think it's important. Maybe talk just another minute about that. From what my understanding, I've never taken any sleep aids, but I know a lot of people say, first of all, you don't really get deep sleep, and then you wake up kind of groggy. And I don't think there's any kind of sleep really pills out there that are really a good thing to take.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a difference between sedation and sleep.
Okay.
And a lot of these drugs are sedatives.
Mm-hmm.
And so your body isn't really getting to these deeper stages of sleep. And unfortunately, the side effects of these medications is horrendous. It's linked to all kinds of diseases like cancer, it's bad. And a lot of times people, they start, and there's a time and a place for medication. I'm not anti-medication by any means, and there's better medications than others. But what happens is people tend to rely on these medications for way too long, and they never address the underlying root cause. And, and then these medications, you need more and more and more. Some of them become habit forming.
Yeah.
And so now you're bouncing from medication to medication, and then they stop working. And now you're addicted to a medication that has strong side effects, and you're not sleeping, which is why you started taking these things in the first place. So again, I'm not anti-medication. I think thank God we have it, and there's a time and a place for it. And but oftentimes, unfortunately, people just get stuck in this sort of merry-go-round of trying different medications. They're not working. They're not getting real sleep. And like you said, they wake up groggy. A lot of these things, one of the main side effects is just waking up and you're feeling like you didn't even sleep. So it's a big problem. It really is. And hopefully people listen to this that are taking sleep medication. They now know that there's solutions, and there's people out there that can help you naturally restore your sleep.
Yeah, and that goes with any kind of a health challenge that we're having. There's always natural solutions, and we always want to uncover the root cause and get to the root cause of it, not just covered up with some medication. Yeah, absolutely right. That's such a good message. One more question I was going to say: are there any so-called natural sleep aids that are beneficial, that work very well?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of. There's a lot. In my book, I have a whole chapter on all the supplements on. If you have trouble falling asleep, if you have trouble staying asleep, there's different herbs and different supplements.
Oh, great.
But the one that I really like right now, and there's a lot of really amazing results and evidence that's supportive of this, is the kava. kava.
Okay.
And you got to get really high quality kava. And, with anything, it all depends on the quality and the type. And the reason I like it is because it actually, there's evidence that now shows that it supports the GABA system to regenerate. Whereas a lot of these medications like benzos and things like that deplete the GABA system. Kava is a natural sedative, but it actually regenerates the GABA system. So it makes it stronger and has reverse tolerance. So like a lot of these medications, you need to take more and more and more to get the same desired effect. But kava, you take the more, you need to take less. So the more frequently you take less and you get the same result. So that's one I'm really excited about. But there's so many others. It just depends on the person.
That's such great information, Devin. I really appreciate it. All your great information. I appreciate your work you're doing. So, thank you very much for that. And so I always like to end my podcast with this, telling people knowledge without action is useless, right? So you get a lot of good knowledge. You've got a lot of good information today. So you got to take action on it. Otherwise, it's totally useless. So I highly recommend you go to Sleep Science Academy and check out all the resources. And if you want to get some coaching there, you can get some really great coaching there. So, Devin, thank you so much. That was great.
Rico, thanks for having me. I appreciate the work that you're doing in the world, and thanks for allowing me to share my message with the people that are listening to your podcast.
Absolutely. And thank everybody for being here. And if you like today's episode, give us a good review and tell your friends about the Fearless Aging podcast.